Our first session today, the commonality of internships and tapas, introducing others to new things, by Bass and Joe Scalone. Welcome. Welcome, Joe. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
All right, go ahead and, hey, Joe, go ahead and share your slides and we'll get those put up on the screen.
And actually, I think it's Ben that's sharing the slides, if I remember correctly.
Is that
right.
actually the presentation? Is that showing up?
It is showing up and we are sending it live now.
Perfect.
Excellent. So hello, everybody. Today, Joe and I are going to talk about Tapas and internships. As for myself, this encompasses a few of my favorite things. One, helping people, expanding others' horizons, and communications, and also food. About myself. As some of you may know, my name is Ben Bass. I've been a member of the MacAdmin community for a good time. I started supporting Macs in 1994 as a hobby. People said I was good at it, and it meant I was able to hang out and help people. So that's how I got started. I got an official big boy job at my school's help desk soon after, and that was when I realized that they would actually pay me for this, for my hobby. So that's kind of still kind of crazy and still what I'm doing today. Over the years, I've held several different jobs, mostly as a consultant, where I would do whatever task was needed by what that client needed that day. Over the past 3 years, I've been working with the intern and mentoring programs at the Johns Hopkins University's Applied Physics Lab, where I realized that mentoring interns and as well as my peers is incredibly rewarding for me, while I still get to play with computers.
Hello, I'm Joe Scalone. I'm relatively new to the Mac community. I started my journey with computers back when I was 3 years old, learning how to solder on a TI-99 4A computer. Many of us still remember back then those old computers and being able to solder on a regular basis, but that really started me down a path of geekdom. Computer geek, drama geek, food geek, band geek. I am and will always be a geek in many different ways. I've had a lot of different positions through the years in food and also in technology. Most recently, I am working in identity management for the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab and love helping people with technology. I also am a proud father of 3 younger children who are also starting this journey toward the love of technology and, well, learning how to solder keyboards. So what are we doing today? Today we're talking about food and interns, mentors, and mentorship. Did I mention food? You might be wondering what the connection is between food, interns, and mentorship. How did we make this connection? The connection first started when we were describing our philosophy about internships and what we wanted our interns to get out of their internship. The first metaphor that came to mind was tapas, where everyone gets a few good bites of many, many dishes. You get a good idea of what dishes you want to taste again, and you get some other things you haven't tried before. This way, you learn your palate, both what you like and also what you don't like. You also tend to be more adventurous because there's so many options and you aren't forced to commit to just one dish. This is how we've tried to approach our internship and mentorship programs. In this talk, we're going to explain how we've implemented this style of mentorship and provide some recipes, if you will, for your use in your own programs.
All right, to get things started, we're going to start defining our terms. So we've introduced our philosophy on internships. So let's start with one of the most critical aspects of any relationship, communication. I have found that making sure that everyone knows what we are talking about without having to make assumptions sets everyone up for success.
So here's some key terms that we're going to be talking about. First, tapas. I described it before, but if anyone isn't familiar with this style of food, it is, quote, anything that is easy to eat so that the natural flow of conversation is not interrupted. This is often used to describe Spanish small portion meals where there's a lot of sharing and tasting of several options.
The next term we want to define is internship. An internship is any official or formal program to provide practical experience for beginners in an occupation or profession. Now, this definition still leaves a lot of room for interpretation. Some see an internship as a way for early career professionals and pre-career individuals to obtain some experience in a professional setting. In this setup, it is a very one-way road, with the intern either acting like a sponge but not giving anything back, or with the intern producing busy work and not learning much of anything. However, Joe and I took a look at an internship as an opportunity to both teach and learn at the same time. This definition resets the playing field, so everyone involved has a chance to make the shape of the internship into one that fits for everyone involved.
Mentorship is defined as the position or services of a wise and trusted counselor or senior sponsor, often in a particular field. We look at mentorship as the opportunity for one individual to help teach and provide guidance and to help another. In a traditional internship, the early career individual is the mentee, while the more experienced person is the mentor. However, we suggest you examine each learning and teaching opportunity to consider if the mentor-mentee hat can be swapped. By keeping an open mind and being flexible, all parties have the opportunity to learn and teach throughout the internship.
So, how do these go together? Like peanut butter and jelly. An internship requires at least two parties involved, the intern and the mentor. If you are the manager or technical lead, you will most likely fall into the role of the mentor. You'll be providing the day-to-day guidance, help, and advice. By the simple act of being present, the mentor is able to guide and help the intern in many ways. There are a few key things that we have found to help being present, being fully in the moment with your intern. The first is do not multitask when meeting with your intern. Stay focused on them and don't send emails or text messages when meeting with them. If you do have to, take a moment and let them know that you need to do something for a quick moment. Ignoring an intern, or anyone for that matter, while you take a second and hope they don't notice or say something of importance while you reply to an email is incredibly rude. Another thing that we will touch on later is to actively listen. One more way is to be available for any and all questions for your intern, both professional and personal, within reason, specifically within your own bounds of comfort. As the mentor, you will also benefit from this relationship. Since everyone in the world is the aggregate of their upbringing, life experiences, and perspectives on the world, everyone is unique. As a mentor, you have the ability to tap into and learn from the perspectives, thoughts, and ideas from your mentee. This is an amazing opportunity for you to learn from those that have different experiences from you. Listen to their ideas and take them to heart, as they could provide you with new and different ways to help you. Tapas, as we said earlier, tapas is a style of small food with lots of tastings of small portions. This is what we want to provide our interns, a lot of small experiences of what happens in an IT shop. Our organization is large, so we have many people that specialize in different aspects of IT. We want to provide them with opportunities to learn about as many different technologies and disciplines as possible. This way, they have a better shot of learning what they like and what might be even more important, what they do not like. Discovering what they do not like allows them to better focus on things that they do like or potentially like that they haven't been exposed to yet. If you try 5 things and like all of them a little bit, that is good to know. However, if you are able to find 4 things they like like a little bit and one they do not like at all. That allows them and you to focus on things they do like and want to learn more about.
As Ben said, interns and mentors go together like peanut butter and jelly. In my mind, they also go together just like chocolate chip cookies and a nice glass of cold milk. The physical setup matters to this dish. For example, when I give my kids cookies and milk, they have to use a spill-proof cup. Many parents understand why. If they take a sip of milk, bite a cookie, and though the experience is slightly different, they get the same enjoyment of the dish. And I have substantially less to worry about. The same is true for your internship programs. Your physical location is going to really impact what communication methods you should be using to mentor your intern. Just like we all had to decide at the beginning of COVID, you will need to decide with your intern whether or not you are fully remote, fully in person, or hybrid. The best way to teach in each of these situations is slightly different. For example, it's really hard to look over someone's shoulder if you're all fully remote. And I suppose technically you can look into somebody's Zoom meeting. That's kind of weird and probably won't go as smoothly as you would like. You have to make sure that you adapt to what's best for you and your mentee. Not sure which ones are going to work best? Try talking with your intern. They may have experience with one method that works for them, or try a combination of different teaching and learning styles you can find that works best for you. And don't forget, everyone also learns differently. There are 7 different types of learning styles: visual, auditory, verbal, physical, logical, social, and solitary. When I was researching this, I was surprised that there are this many types of learning styles. Everyone is generally a combination of styles, but usually lean toward one. Take an online assessment to figure out what style you are and encourage your interns to do the same. Try to match your teaching techniques to best teach your intern's learning style. This is not to say that you should only gear toward that style. In truth, providing the same information but altering it slightly to appeal to several different learning styles is also shown to have the best outcomes for long-term retention. For example, verbally explaining, providing written instructions, and allowing your intern to physically interact with the technology may yield the best results. All right, next slide. Beyond learning styles, it's very important to get to know one another. You know, where you come from, where you go. You might be able to use this to realize that you have more in common with your intern than you may have previously thought, which is wonderful. Even if you don't have a lot in common, you can use this as another opportunity to learn. Use the aspect of commonality to get a new perspective on things, not just from your interns themselves, but their past and where they want to go in their career. But also offer up some of the current issues you have, for example, operational or technical, to get their perspective. Remember, your intern comes from a completely different perspective and is not tainted by the years of baggage and tarnish and traditions that you may have. Also, part of getting to know each other, you need to set goals, specifically SMART goals. To refresh, SMART goals stand for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. SMART goals are a concept that I follow all the time. If you think about it, it is impossible to define success with a goal if you haven't assessed if it was realistic or not, or whether or not it was even achievable. Most of us tend to set goals for ourselves that are unachievable or not specific enough to even be measurable. So take the time to make sure you sit down and take a look at your goals. If you need help, there are plenty of different resources online to help you work on drafting your goals. Also, don't do it by yourself. Bring your intern into the process of goal setting. Make sure that both you agree on your goals and the SMART process the whole way through.
As most interns are new to your organization, as well as potentially to the workforce in general, they often do not know many or even any people in the industry, your organization, or even on your team. Interns do not have the time to fully and deeply make connections with the same way that a full-time employee does. To help them to get to know people, it is the mentor's responsibility to make introductions and help the intern fill in where people fit in and what they do, where everyone else fits in the organization. By making introductions and potentially shepherding your intern through how to make these business connections, you allow them to build their own relationships. I know that many IT people think that networking is a dirty word when it comes to people and not switches and packets. Networking is not schmoozing. What I mean by networking is building up the connections between people, such as talking to a coworker as you chit-chat prior to a meeting. Ever since the pandemic, and I've been working nearly full-time from home, I've tried to join meetings a few minutes early and just chat whenever possible. Ask people how the weather is, how are their kids doing, what's going on. Take these opportunities to keep these connections up. Teach your intern this and then do it yourself. Modeling a positive behavior is incredibly powerful. When I do go into the office, I try to have lunch with a coworker and not work through lunch, and take your intern with you. Try to have lunch with a different colleague every time. This will help your intern get to know more people, as well as help you stay in touch with your colleagues. This will help both you and your intern in the long run. As Joe has told me many times, there is a distinct possibility that you may work for your intern one day. This is your opportunity to teach them how to communicate and work with others, and to make connecting with others a regular and practiced thing. We've got some tools, tips, and tricks. These make up the tools from within your kitchen. Now that we have some goals and have briefly touched on a few things, here are some more concrete ways to help you and your intern have a successful internship. Like with a recipe, you need to have the appropriate tools to ensure success. Let's explore some of those tools to help you and your intern both succeed. Step 1, write things down. I'm not kidding. Put together an outline or a plan of tasks and goals. This is writing the recipe that you want your intern to follow. I would start this with a team brainstorming session before the internship even starts. This will give you and your team a chance to come up with ideas and things that are beneficial and useful for your team that will help the intern as well. You'll want to build up a backlog of tasks that you can easily give to your intern in case they burn through the initial tasks much quicker than you anticipated, which has never happened every single time I've had an intern over the past 3 years. You think you're going to come up with too much work? Think again. When trying to build this backlog, I start by thinking of all the things that your team would like to have, but has never had the time to do. These would be your nice to haves, the script that will make your life easier if you had the time to write it, the research to compare 2 pieces of open source software to figure out which one can help in your environment. We had 2 of our interns put together a research paper for our macOS boot process, so we as a team could present to our security department. This gave the interns a project to really dig into things while providing our team with a presentation that we could give to our aforementioned security team to help argue for a change that would make one of our internal processes a bit smoother. Another thing that is good is documentation. If you've not heard or seen Rich Troughton's talk about documentation, you really need to. In this case, you can have your intern write their own documentation of some of your own internal processes that your team hasn't had a chance to write down yet. This will give the intern a chance to interview and work with your team They get to learn how things work in your organization and your environment, and your team gets the process documented. All you have to do is proofread and edit the documentation, which is much easier than writing it from scratch. As the internship progresses, you can have your intern write the documentation that they would have liked to have gotten when they first started. What information would have made their lives easier in their first week or two? What would have made their transition from school to work smoother? This will help everyone, and is a great way to help future interns as well. Once you have some goals and tasks for your intern and they are working on them, you need to make sure that they know how they're doing. This is just like using a timer when cooking. If you don't time your cooking, you will have either undercooked food or charcoal, neither of which are helpful to making a yummy meal. I found that providing regular feedback, both positive and correcting, in a timely manner will help greatly. By providing feedback in the timely manner, there is less of a chance of the intern running into a major problem, getting frustrated, and making no progress for weeks at a time. Timely feedback also has the benefit of allowing you to provide the feedback in small, manageable bites, which will lower any anxiety you might have in correcting your intern when they are doing when what they are doing requires gentle correction. Another thing I have found to be helpful is to have a weekly half-hour touch-base meeting with them outside of any team or project meetings to make sure that they're doing okay. Use these meetings to start by asking how they're doing. How's the internship in general going? Typically other non-task oriented work. This could include how their commute is. How are they getting settled in? What, if any, problems that they're having getting used to be having a 9-to-5 job? Remember, this could very well be their first job. Be patient and listen. This is akin to tasting while you cook. Does the sauce need some more garlic? Does it need some more salt or pepper? You won't know if you don't taste. And that tasting and listening to your intern is the same feedback loop.
Remember back when we talked about SMART goals? It is critical that you clearly define success. What does success look like for you? What does success look like for your intern? Ask them how they define success for the internship. Also, share how you define success for the internship. Think of this as what you want your dinner to look like. Have clear and concise expectations. I found that writing them down also helps communicate them. Treat the expectations as a living document. Make sure both your expectations and your mentee's expectations are clear and you both are on the same page. Don't be afraid to update the document when things change. Think of this as a recipe for something wonderful. Also, make sure that you're working toward that goal that we defined earlier, whatever it may be. If you're not working towards something, it becomes very hard to really define the success of the internship and show management some return on their investment. Think of this as the process of cooking. Respect. Let me say that again, respect. We must be respectful to your intern. Demand that others on your team and within your office are respectful to your interns as well. Make sure your interns also respect you. Think of this as respecting the heat of the flame on your stove or the edge of a sharp knife. Another good way of looking at this, another analogy, is how many of us have been asked, what is for dinner tonight? Normally I'd ask for a show of hands, but that's a little more challenging now. I personally get asked this all the time. If you define success as choosing what is for dinner, then the expectations are the recipe, working towards something is the process of cooking, and being mutually respectful is not burning your hand on the flame from the stove. Mutually respectful could also be looked at as still working through the process when the request is to make the famous dish or go to the famous restaurant we all know and love called I don't know. Did I get your attention with that slide? I'd love to have that for dinner. What is active listening to you? Active listening is the practice of preparing to listen, observing what verbal and nonverbal messages are being sent, and then providing appropriate feedback for the sake of showing attentiveness to the message being presented. This form of listening conveys a mutual understanding between speaker and listener. Speakers receive information, their point is coming across effectively, and listeners absorb more content and understanding by being engaged. I can't stress how important active listening is. It is really a skill that you should be honing throughout your career. Being part of an internship is a great way to do this. This is one of the most important things that you as a mentor can teach and also do. Also, remember, be clear, get agreement from all sides. Feedback for your intern is incredibly powerful and important. If they are done with the work and are bored, no one is going to be happy. Find out if they like what they are doing and if there's anything else that might interest them.
Make sure to leverage the individual strengths of your intern. Everyone has a skill, whether they know it or not. Make use of them, as utilizing their skills and passions will help them learn more and get more out of the internship. An example of leveraging strengths, one of our interns has a successful YouTube channel, and we've been leveraging their video production skills as a vehicle to learning and teaching the fundamentals of IAM, Identity and Access Management. Here they are learning about authentication and authorization, while we get to learn some tips and tricks on YouTube video production. We also now have some slick videos about IAM terms and ideas that we can share with the rest of our organization to help them understand, which is especially great with senior management. Team meetings are a great place to get feedback from the rest of your team, as they can provide additional insights and thoughts on things that the intern can help with. You can also use these to ask others to see how the intern is doing, any strengths or weaknesses that they see that we as a team can address. Remember, people on your own team also have different backgrounds and perspectives and can often see things that you do not. Utilize them to help your intern as well. Make sure to keep on checking in that how you are teaching your intern is working. As Joe mentioned earlier, there are 7 different ways to learn. Did the YouTube videos you sent to them earlier make sense? Or did they fall asleep trying to read the technology white paper that you found completely compelling and riveting? Keep on iterating, touching base, such as tasting the meal, as things continue on. Check in with your team to see if they are all on the same page with the tasks, as well as how the intern is progressing. So what did we learn today? Food is yummy. Interns are people. In conclusion, interns are an incredibly powerful and important resource. They are people with their own ideas, experiences, and motivations. Make sure to listen and take those experiences, ideas, and motivations into account. Talk to them and listen to what they say. Make use of their likes and dislikes. Help them find out more of what they like and dislike. Not liking something is not bad. It shows that they are learning and finding out more about the world and themselves.
Don't underestimate the impact of the mentor-mentee, mentor-intern relationship. You could very well be the first person they have worked with in a non-part-time job. Also, show them and help them become the best version of themselves. Help them grow and discover what they like and what they don't like. Help understand how to be a good coworker. Help build them to be someone that everyone wants on their team. When an internship goes well, the intern, the mentor, and the organization benefit. The intern gains valuable information, experience, and potentially skills that can help them reach their next goals. As a mentor, you gain someone who can show you new ways to see and think of things, expanding your own horizons. There are also technical gains. There can easily be a new process or documentation that is now in place that can help you and your entire team. At the end of the day, being a good role model and helping your intern will help bring out the best possible scenario, one where everyone wins and comes out ahead. Now, any questions?
All right. Thank you, Joe and Ben. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Look, our first question from Anonymous says, can we get a list of those learning styles there, please? And to that, I'm sure we'll get some slides up and video posted so that everyone will be able to see that.
Absolutely.
Okay, just got a couple little feedback here about a small feedback buzz from time to time, just FYI. Thank you, Bruce. Go ahead and dismiss that. And pro tip from Anonymous says the smoke detector in the kitchen is not a cooking timer. I don't know.
Yes.
That's how we know when dinner's ready.
Mm-hmm. That's when you find out it was ready 5 minutes ago.
Time. Who needs it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll give another minute here, see if there's any additional questions.
So on our slides, we also have some good recipes for you guys. So it's a great apple cake that my mom used to make for us back in the day. She was definitely one of the inspirations for my love of food, especially being in an Italian household.
And this one's one of my family recipes for potato pancakes. Yeah, sorry, the words are a little small, but we'll get these up somewhere else as well. But
plus, this is recorded, so you'll be able to see it in the recording.
Exactly. Make sure it gets in time.
It's a whole new style of YouTube video. Just like 5-second recipes, you have to pause.
Yep.
I like it. It's almost the opposite of every YouTube video nowadays.
Exactly. It's a nice break.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Josh, would you like to take us out? Thank you again, you guys, for
absolutely. Thanks again to Joe and Ben for that wonderful presentation today.